Across the country, Canadians rely on CBC, Radio Canada, from Schitt's Creek to Hockey Night in Canada and Mike Myers.
Nobody watches it. It's less than 5% of the country watches CBC.
These are products of Canada. They're the result of strong, representative public broadcasting.
It doesn't represent anybody except, what do we call them?
Small fringe minority.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's supposed to represent all Canadians and all points of view. It doesn't. It represents a small, fringe, progressive minority of the country.
Canada's identity and institutions are under attack by foreign interference.
You know, they're under attack by you. You're the people that told us Canada was the first post-national country, first post-national state, not even really a country at all. You're the one who said that Canada had no core identity. What are we? We're nothing. We might as well just be whatever the millions of people that you're bringing to the fucking country are. I just don't like these lying globalists.
And instead of defending them, Pierre Poilievre is following President Trump's lead and taking aim at our institutions like CBC, Radio Canada.
That's because they're propaganda institutions that just serve your party and you personally. That's why.
Pierre Poilievre pretends that you can keep one, but not the other. But he's not Solomon. You can't split this baby.
Talking about you can't split CBC and Radio Canada, which is the French one. If for one thing, it's not a baby. And why can't you? Of course you can. Pierre said that they'd keep the French one. Defund the CBC. You're not Solomon. You can't split that baby. Well, it's not a baby. And of course you can. You could just defund it and then it's done, right? Then it can either sink or swim. Of course it's going to sink because it's useless and nobody watches it and it's pointless. But let's continue.
His attack on CBC is an attack directly on Radio Canada. And it is an attack.
See, he's trying to trick French voters into voting for him after his many mistakes and frankly, just insults towards French Canadians.
On our Canadian identity.
You're the ones who said we didn't have an identity. Globalists, God damn it.
If elected, my government will take action to enshrine and protect and strengthen CBC Radio Canada for generations to come. We will modernize the mandate of our public broadcaster. We will give it the resources it needs to fulfill its renewed mission and ensure that its future is guided by all Canadians and not subject to the whims of a small group of people led by ideology.
But that's exactly what's happening now, and that's why you want to keep it. That's why you want to keep it. So, I mean, obviously, that's the whole point, because it helps you. Without the CBC, without boomers watching the CBC, he'd be nowhere.
When it comes to this most important of Canadian institutions, all Canadians should have their say, not just a small group. We will not only increase CBC Radio Canada.
So what is he saying there? All Canadians should have. I think what he's trying to, I think that he revealed the truth without understanding it there. He's acting as if CBC represents everybody. It doesn't. It's just a narrow bandwidth for only government-approved narratives, for progressive, woke progressive narratives. Government doesn't even need to tell them to do it, right? They're just all radical progressives working there. And they don't need to be told. They like the liberals. They like what the liberals do. They want the liberals to do what they do. And they're fine with that. And they hate conservatives. That's why it needs to be defunded. We can't have the discourse ruled by
small fringe minority.
Canada's funding by $150 million, but we will also make this funding statutory, meaning that Parliament as a whole will need to approve any future changes to its funding, not just the Cabinet.
So he's going to increase the spending. It's already $1.4 billion. He's going to give them an extra $150 billion, and then he's going to just enshrine it in the country. So it'll take an act of Parliament to defund it. He wants to make it permanent. This is bribery. What he's saying is, I'm going to give everybody a raise at the CBC if I get elected. And you know what will happen if I don't? This is just bribery. This is pure corruption. It's just this bullshit lie that the CBC represents everybody, and that's why it's important. It represents the Canadian identity that we were just told 15 minutes ago it doesn't exist anyway. This is bribery. This is this is outright corruption here. This is get me elected and you're all going to get a raise. Or at least the important people at the CBC, the people that he thinks are important at the CBC are going to get a raise.
By strengthening our public broadcaster, we're protecting our identity and our culture and helping it to shine around the world. We're making...
I mean, you see stuff like this. I mean, it's so obvious, isn't it? It's so obvious what this is about. You know, the polls are actually starting to tighten. So maybe that's what prompted this. I wonder if what their internal polls are saying might have a little bit to do with this, just to remind the CBC. Because, I mean, there have been a lot of questions. He's got a lot of gaffes. There's a lot of, obviously, questions around China. There's a lot of questions about what's in that blind trust, right? There's a lot of questions about tax havens like Bermuda, right? So maybe this is a little way to say, look, before this gets crazy, just don't forget, I'm going to give you guys a raise, right? You know that, right? You know you're getting a raise. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Subscribing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.